Hi everyone, it's David here from All Game Parrot. I'm here with my girlfriend Sophie from the BirdNerdSophie channel. Please feel free to check that out. We're here for part 2 of our Q&A from the Chip and Fish Instagram. So we'll be going through some questions and giving you some answers about some of your hot topics and questions.
So first question is, how much time should I spend with my cockatiel, or any parrot for that matter, every day?
The short answer is as much as you can. If you can spend as much time you can with them, it's great because you're bonding with them, you're interacting with them, you're interested, but it doesn't have to be direct contact. They don't have to be out and sitting on you. They could be sitting on a play stand, they could be in their cage just with you around in the room and occasionally talking to them. It doesn't have to be direct interaction, although that's also good as well, as much as you can, playing with them and training with them.
I think they get a lot of comfort from their flock members being around, but they don't have to be like in your face all the time.
Sure. Next question, if I buy a big cage for my cockatiels to live in who are currently separated, will they get along together?
Nobody knows. You won't know unless you try, but it's always good if you're hoping to bring 2 birds together who've never interacted before to make sure that they've got adequate space in 2 separate cages first. Of course, quarantine them if you're bringing a new bird home for 30 days, as we mentioned in the previous video, just to make sure that they are all good. And you need to be really slow with your introduction with each bird. You can't just pop them in the same cage together and hope for the best. Having some time outside of the cage in a very neutral area can be really beneficial, with maybe some new toys that they aren't kind of a real favourite with, so they're not going to get possessive. And just making it a really positive experience. Loads of tasty snacks in separate bowls, and again in the new cage making sure there's loads of space for separate bowls, separate perches, separate toys, so they don't have to be in each other's faces all the time. They can kind of be apart and hopefully get along, fingers crossed. So the next question is, can my birds eat kiwi, pomegranate and red leaf lettuce?
So it's a really quick answer to this question. Yes, they're absolutely fine, and it's quite good to give it to them. I mean, kiwi can be slightly acidic though, so be a bit careful with that. Do you use rope perches if they aren't chewing them? Are there any safe alternatives?
So we used to have a few cotton rope perches for the boys, but they do try and chew up the fibres, and that's really dangerous because if they ingest the fibres it can cause a crop impaction, and that is a very expensive vet bill and obviously very unpleasant for your bird. So we don't use them with the boys anymore. We do with Pickles because she doesn't try and chew up any of the fibres. We watch her really carefully, and if we ever saw any sign of that we'd take it straight out. But safe alternatives would be sisal or sisal, as I recently found out it's pronounced, so I've been pronouncing it wrong for ages. Sisal rope perches and jute as well are really safe, and of course making sure you get them from a bird safe shop is also really beneficial, and we buy ours from Northern Parrots. So the next question is, how can I teach my cockatiel to sing a specific song?
It's relatively easy if you can whistle, because if you can whistle the songs to the cockatiel over and over again throughout the day and teach them. For example, the football chant Pig Bag, we taught ours by just whistling to them. There's also loads of videos on YouTube of cockatiels singing things, so they can imitate that. Or you can just play the song over and over again, so they learn. It may be annoying for you, but they'll eventually start picking it up, and it's important to reinforce them when they start doing it as well. So, for example, if Chip starts singing the right song, we'll give him a treat, so he knows, oh cool, I'm going to keep doing that. Next question, how do you switch a stubborn bird's diet from seeds to pellets?
Firstly, I would say that seeds aren't all bad, and obviously an all-seed diet is very unhealthy for your bird, but you can incorporate seeds, healthy seeds, into your bird's diet. Similarly, a lot of pellets are actually really unhealthy, but you don't always realise unless you really read the ingredients list thoroughly, so make sure that you do that first. But I would say it's a bit more beneficial to transition them onto more vegetables rather than worrying about getting them onto pellets. Some of the ways you can do that, just off the top of my head, are pretending to eat the pellets or the vegetables yourself. So yeah, birds always want what we have, whether it's healthy or not, but obviously give them the good stuff. Make it fun. You can put it into kind of enrichment devices. Just make it more of a game too. You know, it doesn't have to be just sat in a bowl, because they're probably less likely to eat it. If you make it a bit more fun, they're probably more likely to experiment and try. So the next question is a really good one, which is, any surprising things you have learned since having birds?
Quite a few things. I mean, the most surprising thing is their personalities, just how full of personality each individual bird is. They're all completely individual, and it's really nice to see. A slightly more controversial one is bars at the bottom of the cage. I always thought when I was starting to have birds is that the bars at the bottom of the cage were great, they're easy to clean. I've since learned that it's much better to just have like a substrate stuff like Easy Bed. It's much more fun for them, they can forage in it, they can really enjoy it, and just seeing how they interact with it just totally opened my eyes. The other thing is the noise. I didn't expect them to be so noisy when I first started getting birds. They're really rowdy, really screamy, but also how much they can sort of learn things quickly as well. Just again,
Chip's a brilliant learner, isn't he?
Well, definitely. Back to the personality thing and intelligence. They're so intelligent and bright, and they just pick up tricks and new things very quickly. Next up, I work 9 to 5. What can I do for my bird to keep them entertained while I'm out?
Lots of things. You can actually make some DIY toys out of cardboard boxes and cardboard tubes. I actually have a video that we made together on my channel. I'll get David to put a card up the top. There are loads of things you can actually make from around the house, so it doesn't have to be loads of expensive toys to keep your birds busy while you're out. But also make sure that any toys you put in are safe. Obviously no toy is 100% safe, but there are definitely some that they could maybe get tangled up in, and you don't want that happening when you're out. Some people like to play the radio. Our birds really like listening to the radio, and they keep trying to talk to the Alexa to turn it back on. Some people even play things on the TV, and there's actually, I think, a couple of YouTube channels which is like specifically for parrots to listen and watch, which I think is kind of fun. So just give them lots of opportunities to express natural behaviour too, like foraging trays, that kind of thing that you can actually put in the cage. And another point on that is to make sure the cage is big enough for your birds to express natural behaviour. The next question is, what is the safest way to trim your bird's nails?
The safest way is to train them to accept it, get them used to nail trimmers, get them used to having it done, you know, make it a positive experience by rewarding them when they're around the nail trimmers when you're doing it. If you can't do that, then there are restraint techniques you can learn, and there's things you can do to try and keep them safe while they're doing it, so you can look them up on the internet, but make sure that it is safe, and if you can, do train them and treat them, because it's much easier, much safer for your bird. Something else I'd like to mention, you can also use a nail trimming stand. You can buy these from Northern Parrots and many pet shops and places. Make sure they're made out of bird safe materials, because there are some dodgy ones about. But there's a great natural way to trim your bird's nails, and it may mean you do not have to go through the trouble of having them clipped. Next up, what's the worst things about having cockatiels?
Maybe the noise. I mean, we're used to it. We know that that is part and parcel of having birds, so it's not unusual for us. And while sometimes it can give me a little bit of a headache, we knew that from the start, didn't we? But for some people who aren't used to constant screaming when birds are overexcited or hormonal, it's a challenge, isn't it? Yeah,
it can be. They can be exceptionally noisy and exceptionally silly. Also, how single-minded they are absolutely crazy. When they want to do something, they will do it. They won't stop, they'll just go crazy. That's a trait for a lot of parrots, I think, as well.
Like pickles in my hair currently.
Yeah.
One other thing as well is dust. If you don't know about cockatiels, they produce the dust in their feathers, keeps their feathers nice and clean and in good condition, but it gets everywhere, doesn't it? And you need an air purifier because you know, houses attract dust anyway, but it's like times 100 for cockatiel.
Definitely.
The next question is, what is the favourite treat or snack of each individual bird of the flock?
We kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. Pickles is sunflower seeds, again in moderation. She also loves her fruits, any sort of fruit, she's wild for that. I'd say for Chip and Fish, they both really like rosemary in their herbs, but Chip, millet, definitely millet for both, but then Chip prefers green beans, whereas Fish will prefer broccoli. Or
pumpkin seeds.
Pumpkin seeds, they absolutely love them.
Hemp seeds.
Hemp seeds. They change their mind sometimes. Sometimes their preferences will swap around a little bit.
Yeah, they're quite adventurous though, and when we first got them they wouldn't eat fruit, and now they're...
I mean, Fish especially tries a lot more fruit, whereas Chip is still a bit hesitant. I mean, he'll follow his brother's lead, but he's not quite sure. What's a cockatiel's overall temperament?
This is sometimes a little bit of a tricky question to answer because each bird is an individual, but if you want to really kind of generalise a species as a whole, I guess you could say they are very playful, very single-minded,
cheeky.
Very cheeky, they like to get up to mischief where possible, active, what else would you say?
Naughty, what we already said that.
Anything cheeky, naughty, mischievous, but they are really active birds. They do love flying when given the opportunity, scurrying around on the floor as well. They are natural ground feeders in the wilds. They do love to be on the floor and looking for goodies or things they're not supposed to have, as I like to do.
Loud, that's not a good one.
Yeah. So the final question is, one of my parrots is moody and yells at me and bites me. Is this normal?
I wouldn't say, no, it depends on the circumstances basically. It could depend if they're hormonal, it could be that time of year. I mean, Sophie's actually done a video on that, it might be worth having a peek, so put a card up there. If they are hormonal, that sort of behaviour is normal. It's just the way they act. It also depends how long the bird's been with you. They may still be getting used to you. They may just be in a grumpy mood that day. They have moods as well. Just like us, they might be in a poor mood. I was going to use a worse word.
Keep it family friendly.
Exactly. So yeah, it varies, you know. And if it's hormones, there are ways you can reduce it. If they're getting used to you, there are things you can do about that as well. I've actually got a video on how to bond, so you have a look at that. But yeah, if your bird is behaving that way, give them some space and give them some more time to sleep. Those are the two most common things to sort of solve those issues. I'd like to add that molting can also make them moody. It's itchy, it's uncomfortable. If your bird is happy for you to pet them, you can just gently sort of like scratch them, which helps relieve some of the itching. If not, don't force them to do it. Partner preference can play a role in it. If your bird has a preferential person, their favourite person, they may bite you, or they may be completely fine with that person. If in doubt, just take them to an avian vet and make sure everything's okay. That's all our questions done, so thank you very much for watching. If you haven't seen part 1, do have a peek at it on Sophie's channel. Thanks for watching, take care and have a great day.